Hey, what's up everybody? The January Zooms has just dropped, and in this video I'm going to cover the first one, Princess Snow White. And just to let you guys know, all three of the Zooms for this month in January have the same drop rate, so regardless of which one you have, they're all going to be the same. For this video, I am going to cover Princess Snow White from the Snow White series, and her ability description is clears all Zooms in the center and spawns magical bubbles. The game demonstration you're currently watching right now is a skill level 1, and her skill range is going to be extra small. So let's take a look at her stats. In order for you to activate her ability, you'll need to clear a total of 16 copies of her off the screen. So this is considered pretty low for a relatively good Zoom. And the minimum score is 30 with a maximum score of 1059. So for score, it's pretty good as well. Not necessarily that great when you have her at a lower level, but as you level her up, the score wise does get better. And if you want to get her to skill level 6, you will need to get a total of 32 copies of her. So it's pretty average, not necessarily too high and not too low either. So it's in that middle range. And by the way, if you guys are enjoying this type of content where I review Zooms and you like the monthly leaks, please consider subscribing to this channel. I'll be doing more of that for the rest of the year. Alright, so let's take a look at the skill chart. Every single time you level up her ability, the skill range does increase. And in this case, for Princess Snow White, the skill range is in reference to the burst circle when Snow White comes out with an apple. Everything else remains the same. And if you take a look at her animation, after the burst or the center burst, it will spawn 3 magical bubbles. And this will remain consistent regardless of what skill level you have her at. So even if you have her at skill level 1 or 6, it doesn't matter. You're always going to get 3. One bad thing about Princess Snow White though, the magical bubble, they're all going to be regular bubbles. You're never going to get an ability bubble, so they're always going to be blank, so that kind of makes it not that great for ability magical bubble. But if you encounter one of those missions that gets a lot of magical bubble requests, so like maybe get 40 magical bubbles in one game, Princess Snow White could be utilized during those type of missions. And overall, Princess Snow White, in my opinion, is actually one of the top coin earners. You do need to get her to a relatively higher skill level. Stay tuned for the higher skill level ones because it might blow your mind a little bit and catch you off by surprise. She is going to be one of the top coin earners, so you might want to spend a little bit more coins to get her, at least one copy, and then you could use your skill tickets on leveling her up. Alright, so let's take a look at a side-by-side comparison of Princess Snow White at skill level 1, 2, and 3. And the major difference is just her skill range. It's going to go from extra small for skill level 1 to small for skill level 2, and then finally for skill level 3 it's going to be medium. And one cool thing about Princess Snow White is that she is a really easy Zoom to use, and it's a very beginner friendly Zoom. So in my opinion, she is one of the best Zooms you could get that is for beginners, that earns a lot of coins and gets a pretty good value. Starting at skill level 3, she becomes really viable to earn coins with the 5-4 and coin boost on. I don't think you can get any other Zooms that could do that at a relatively low cost. So if you have a bunch of skill tickets laying around and need to level up a really good Zoom that earns a lot of coins and easy to use, Princess Snow White could be an option for that, especially if you are just returning to the game and don't have a coin earner like Jedi Luke, Gaston, or Beast, then Princess Snow White could be a good option for that because it may be a while before we get one of the top coin earners to come back this year. Let's also talk a little bit about strategy when you're using Princess Snow White, and it's a very simple strategy. So keep an eye out on your ability bar and not to mistaken for the fever bar. So as your ability gets pretty full, I would say like once it's 3/4 of the way full, you want to start pressing the ability button non-stop with your left hand, or depending on what you're playing on, you might have to use your left thumb. So just press that ability button because what ends up happening is a lot of the residuals that you do clear will go into the next charger bar. So like I mentioned earlier that you need to clear a total of 16 copies of Princess Snow White to activate her ability. So if you, for example, clear 20 Zooms off the first ability, then the remaining 4 Zooms that gets popped extra will get carried into the next ability. So instead of clearing 16 on the next ability, you only need to clear 12. So keep that in mind and start spamming the ability once it starts to get full. By doing that, you'll be able to activate more abilities per game, earning you a lot more coins. And the second thing you want to do with Princess Snow White is when the magical bubbles are made, so the 3 magical bubbles are made, you want to pop them in a specific sequence. You want to start popping them in the middle, and then the top, and then the lowest one. Essentially, you want to just make sure all the magical bubbles are touching a Zoom. You want to avoid popping the bottom ones up because what ends up happening is if there is a bubble on the bottom, it's going to continue to drop those other ones that are on the top. So you want to just pop bubbles in the middle area, then top, and then the last one, which is on the bottom. You also want to try to pop these bubbles as soon as possible, because the later you pop them, the more likely they're going to end up at the bottom of the screen. Let's also take a look at a side-by-side comparison of her ability activated at the same time. So you have this ability that will make like a circle center burst area, and then 3 magical bubbles are made. So let's slow it down and play it through. And one thing I don't like about Princess Snow White's ability is that the animation takes a really long time to actually play through. It takes roughly about 2 to 3 seconds to actually play through the full animation before anything happens, or before you could do anything. So that's one thing I don't like about her ability, but other than that, she is a really good coin earner. So take a look at the screen here. This is going to be the skill range for skill level 1, 2, and 3. The skill level 1 is a little bit smaller than skill level 2, and then same thing for skill level 3. But as you level up her ability, the burst range does get bigger, so you definitely do want to try to get Princess Snow White to at least skill level 3. Skill level 2 is also okay, but definitely skill level 3 will be eligible to earn you a lot more coins. So you look at it here, for skill level 1, I got a chain of 18, skill level 2, 20, and then skill level 3, a total of 24. So the little sparkle area actually represents all the areas that have zooms that were just recently popped, so you might be able to see it a little bit more clearly on where the burst ranges are. And then here you see that the 3 magical bubbles are created. They're going to be in the same position. So like I mentioned earlier, you want to try to pop them in the center area first, and then the top, and then the bottom one. So you see skill level 3, there was a magical bubble that ended up at the bottom. You want to avoid that happening because you end up popping less zooms. So overall, I do think that Princess Snow White is an amazing zoom. I think that based on what we have so far, this is one of the zooms that you definitely want to invest in, because it's a very easy zoom to use that earns you a lot more coins than a lot of other zooms that we have right now, even outperforming some of the pair zooms that we have. So stay tuned for my skill level 6 video where I show you the maximum that I got in these earlier gameplays. So let's take a look at her coin earning potential. So at skill level 1, I got 1,340. Skill level 2, I got 1,789 coins. And at skill level 3, I got 2,554. So if you have, let's say, 3 skill tickets laying around that you could use, you definitely want to invest it in Princess Snow White if you don't have any other zooms you want to power up. This is one of the zooms that will earn you a lot more coins, and for score, it's pretty good. And as for score, I got 4.7 million for skill level 1, 6 million for skill level 2, and then for skill level 3, I got 7.8 million. So not too bad for earlier gameplays. As you level up Princess Snow White, the score will go up. And keep in mind, these were some of my earlier gameplays for Princess Snow White. These were my first, second, and third attempts. So you definitely could earn more coins and earn a higher score than I did here with a little bit more practice and of course with the coin boost. Alright guys, so that's my review for Princess Snow White. And if you guys would like to see more Sim content just like this, definitely don't forget to subscribe. And as always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.